Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. All right. Yo, I'm not even gonna lie. Okay, so yesterday my girlfriend and I were talking, and I forget how I brought it up, but I was like, I think I could beat a kangaroo in a fight. Like, I really think I could beat a kangaroo in a fight. And I was like so sure about it, you know? Like she was like, no, there's no way you could beat a kangaroo in a fight. And I was like, no, I definitely can beat a kangaroo in a fight. Wait. Give me a second. Give me a second. I was like, I definitely could beat a kangaroo in a fight. You know, I was looking at pictures of kangaroos, and you know, I was seeing like these guys, and I was like, I can get this guy. I know his legs look crazy, and that tail is like he's got like a fifth limb, and they're muscular as shit, but like that jaw looks weak as hell. I was like, man, just like, you know what I'm saying? And that would be the exact sound it would make too. Like he would be like, you know, like standing there like they do, like, and I would just one shot. Right? One shot and he'd be stunned, absolutely stunned. Like, look at this one. They're jacked. I know. I get it. They're jacked, right? But I don't think they're doing anything with those arms, to be honest. They may try to like choke me out or something like that. But no, I think I could get that shot off. The part you got to worry about is the legs. The part you really got to worry about is the legs. They can kick the shit out of you, okay? They can kick the shit out of you. They can break ribs. They can kill you. I think people have been killed by kangaroos by being kicked. I'm not saying it's a guarantee. And I don't even know. Like, I think like the range they can weigh is like from 70 to 200 pounds, depending on if it's male or female or like how old they are, genetics, whatnot, what have you. A 200-pound kangaroo, it's gonna be tough. I weigh 212. It's going to be a good matchup, but, you know, they might beat me 6 times out of 10, but I think I got them 4 times out of 10. When you start getting to like a 150-pound kangaroo, starts to tip the scale a little bit. I think if it's 150 pounds, I think I got him 6 times to 4 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Maybe even more. Maybe I'll go 7 to 3. 150 pounds. I got that thing. It's probably not even that tall. It's probably under 6 foot at that point. And if we're talking about like a wallaby looking motherfucker, like right here, like this type of, like, oh my God, there's no way in hell I'm losing to that thing. I don't care how lucky it gets. I'm like, I'd be determined. Like, there's no way I'm letting this kangaroo beat me. You know what I'm saying? Look at these types of mixed feeder. Wait. What are these? A prehistoric kangaroos? Yeah, this is a wallaby type thing. Yeah, there's somewhere they don't even have a chance, right? But then I was doing more research online, and like all these outback people and, you know, kangaroo experts, what have you, were trying to make it seem like, okay, well, there's no way this guy's beating a not me in particular, but like apparently, obviously, other people have had this discussion before online, and they were making fun of the people who were saying they could beat a kangaroo, and I was like, okay, well, that's uncalled for. You know, I'm one of those people, and they started making like valid points. Like, they got really sharp claws on the back of their feet that could sometimes disembowel things, and you know, they kill dingoes and dogs and stuff. I mean, I think I could. That's a different matchup, but I think I could beat a dog in a fight, depending on the dog. Like, I think I could get. I don't know. That's a tough one. That one's hard to picture, because if an angry dog's coming at you, that's scary as hell. And I don't know if I'd be able to think quick enough. You know, if they bite on my neck, or if they're trained to like go for the jugular. I don't think I'm doing anything against that, to be honest. But a kangaroo, it's a different matchup. You know, we both are like standing up. You know, we're kind of on the same playing field. I've been standing up on 2 feet most of my life. most of my life, you know? They're kind of hunched down like that, you know? They're not, I don't know. I feel like I have more experience standing up. Then again, they probably have more fighting experience. But all that to say, they were making some valid arguments. And apparently, like, their kicks can break ribs. I'm not breaking ribs with any of my kicks. I'm not a trained fighter by any means. This is going to be a lot harder than I expected. But I think I'm smarter than a kangaroo. You got to at least give me that. And if we're just outside and I can use my surroundings, if I can pick up a rock, which I can, they can't, okay? So, like, I mean, let's be realistic here. If we're both in nature, like, I'm going to pick up a stick and whack the shit out of it. I'm just a human. That's what we do, okay? If we're allowed to use weapons, like, I'm gonna use that to my advantage. That guy's going to be scared when I pick up that first rock. By the second rock, it's over. First one, he's stunned. He's, like, standing there like, I don't know what to do. Second one, it's over. But let's assume for whatever reason we have to make it like we're just in like a barren wasteland and there's nothing, or maybe like a cage. Like, well, for some reason we have to take away all the human aspects, human advantages of it. Like, even though that's part of us, like, they get to use their tail and their, they get to be kangaroos, but we can't be humans in this scenario. Okay, whatever. If we're going just fist to fist and kicking to just like body parts allowed. I think a fully grown kangaroo. I know I said 6-4. I'm gonna, after the research, I'm gonna say I have a 20% chance of winning. That might be generous, but I mean, if they genuinely can disembowel things with their hind legs, I can't do that. I don't have that ability. I think my only chance is getting some shots, making sure it's stunned, surprising it, like, whoa, I didn't expect that from this guy. Surprising it, and then you know what? How am I going to kill a kangaroo? I actually don't know how that's going to work, because they can run away at like 40 miles per hour. I don't think I have a chance. I'm sorry. I'd like to apologize to my girlfriend right now for ever bringing this up and thinking that I could beat a kangaroo. I don't think I could beat a kangaroo of that size, of a 200-pound fully grown kangaroo. The little ones, yes, I do think I have a pretty decent chance with that. But a fully grown red kangaroo, I don't think there's a chance, unfortunately, at this point. I have to admit that I was wrong on this one. I have to admit I was wrong. Anyways, let's get into today's actual video. And it's a veganism debate. Let's see. I'll show you. Where was it? Okay.
Do you think we should reduce?
Okay. So we have another Jubilee video today. 1 vegan versus 20 meat eaters. So, like, when I was in college, I didn't eat meat. I never been vegan, but I didn't eat meat for like for a decent amount of time, maybe like 8 months or a year or something like that. I forget. It's hard to actually put it into a time period, because I kind of don't really remember. But it's hard to just not eat meat and get enough protein, and like feel healthy and get like all the energy you need. I feel like in the short term, eating meat just feels a lot better for you. But in the long term, obviously there's evidence that like not eating as much meat could help you live longer, like lowers cholesterol, blood pressure, all that. So this one's going to be interesting. I personally love meat. I really do. Pause. But I love meat. And like, I just think it's just one of the joys in life to just have some good meat. I don't know. Oh, okay, let's watch this video.
Reduce the amount of pain that plants are experiencing.
Yes, we should. Plants matter. Hashtag plants matter.
You're not addressing my points. You are not addressing my points. You are deflecting because I literally backed you into a corner.
You can have sex and it was unethical, non-consensual, but it was great. Or you can have the consensual sex and it's not quite as good. Which one do you pick?
Probably a cheeseburger.
Is eating meat unethical? Or has the conversation around veganism and ethical dieting become
It's gonna
too
be
rigid
good.
and
It's
moralized?
gonna be good.
I'm
It's gonna be
John
too
Regalado.
good.
For Jubilee Media, this is Surrounded, where one brave soul faces a room full of disagreeers. Today, we're diving headfirst into veganism.
I'm not gonna lie though. Sometimes vegans do piss me off though. Like just the moral superiority, acting like people who eat meat are like ethically totally corrupt, and they do have some valid points. Like, but like I don't know, just like their moral standing, just gives them this air that they're holier than thou. It just pisses me off sometimes.
farming and what it means to eat ethically. I'm here in the center with our featured guest, Dr. Jack Symes. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Are you ready to debate the circle?
Sure am. I'm looking forward to hearing what reasons they've brought for their unethical lifestyles.
Are you all ready to
See what I
bring your
mean?
best arguments?
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, let's get into it.
My first surrounded claim is extreme suffering for trivial pleasure is morally indefensible.
If you'd like to be the first debater, get to the chair in 3, 2, 1.
Easy, lad.
Dr. Jack?
Nice to meet you.
Hey,
What's
I'm
your name,
Dr.
sorry?
I'm Dr. Pete. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Dr. Pete.
So I am very excited about this topic. I think it's super interesting that it touches on so much and all sorts with food. So I'm an emergency medicine physician.
Do you want to, on the claim I made, first of all?
Oh, he is an emergency medicine. This is going to be interesting. So he could probably have some good health perspectives on it. I'm really interested in this guy's perspective.
Do you want to?
Oh.
Do you disagree with that?
I
first?
do. I do.
You disagree? Extreme suffering for trivial
I
pleasures
do.
morally
I do.
indefensible. Can I give you the reason? Then you can disagree.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think this principle comes from any of the major world philosophies. So you could be religious or not religious. You could be a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim. You could be a Hindu, a Sikh. You could be a Buddhist, or you could have one of the secular moral philosophies as well. You could be an Aristotelian, a utilitarian, an existentialist. But the easiest way to understand it is just being a utilitarian, right? A good action is one where you create lots of happiness and pleasure and very little pain and suffering. But unfortunately, when it comes to factory farming, it's the other way around in our treatment of non-human animals in general. Quick example, and then I'll let you jump in. A broiler chicken exists for 6 weeks. As soon as it's born, it has its beak clipped off with a guillotine. It's put in a cage so small it can't move. It's pumped full of food for 6 weeks straight. It's so fast that its organs fail, its legs break under its own weight. It goes blind because of the toxins in its own feces. And then it has its throat slit alongside 10,000 or so of its...
So yeah. So obviously, like factory farming is kind of horrific. Like the practice that we have to get the meat that we do, to the amount of people that we have to feed is very horrific. And I guess the ideal would be finding a way where we could still. The ideal for me would be finding a way where we could still have the food like we evolved to eat, but like in the most ethical way possible for the animals. So like they live like a happier life, and they live stress-free until we have the day we have to put them down. And the way we put them down is in a way where like they don't have any stress of like thinking that they're going to be put down, and like they've had like a ideally full enough life to where we can, eat them. And like, just think about predators on like take a lion, for example. Like obviously we have the ability to choose which food we can eat, but does that mean that we should only eat food that causes the least amount of suffering just because we can? Or like, should we just be the full fleshed out beings that we evolved to be. Like a lion, they obviously have to kill, and other animals have to suffer for them to survive. It's just how they, evolved to be. But yeah, the difference between us is because we can think about what we're doing, we can think about morality, but no other animal has to think about morality in anything that natural that it does.
The sisters, I think that's an extreme amount of pain and suffering for what is trivial pleasure, which is the taste on your lips. Would you agree?
Well, I'll say that all of civilization is about chasing triviality. And at the same time, I think that suffering...
On that, do you think that's too much suffering?
I would definitely also say that suffering is inevitable and it's essential.
It's inevitable, but you can minimize it, right? Is there too much there?
So as an emergency medicine doc who takes care of suffering all the time...
I'm happy to talk about that, but if you can just say, is that too much suffering imparted onto the chicken?
That particular example?
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes
to sustain 8 billion people across the world, I would say is
well,
not trivial.
It's easier to sustain 8 billion people without having animal agriculture.
It's possible. I'd like to hear the mechanistic argument for that. But I will say, as a philosophy, you're a philosopher, I'm an ER doc.
Well, there are 30 to 60 million children that are dying every year from starvation. UNICEF put it at 30 million. Dr. Rich Doppelander puts it at 60 million. And so every year you got 30 to 60 million. In 82% of those cases, the children are dying.
But at some point, can you, some people are happy with a vegan diet. Some people can be very happy with a vegan diet. But food in general is so cultural, and a lot of the culture around food in certain places is the meat that they consume, whether it is through their certain dishes that they have, and that are recipes that are passed down through the family, or hunting in certain areas. Not for most people, but in some places, hunting is a very big part of their culture. I don't think that it's necessarily better to just take away these cultural practices and just have everybody convert to veganism just because that's the most possible least suffering ethical diet that everybody in the world could have. I think there's more to life than just trying to go to the extreme and trying to sterilize the entire planet in a certain way just because it fits into a certain moral framework. That is completely subjective, by the way.
Dying in places where the majority of the meat has been given to cattle and sold to more affluent countries. That's Ethiopia. That's Sudan. Sudan is the hungriest country major in the world, and it has one of the biggest livestock in all of Africa. So
that's pretty crazy.
You can feed these people if you go to plant-based. You need 75% less land, and the amount of agriculture which is used towards supporting these non-human animals to slaughter them, that's one of the biggest causes of not being able to feed.
You're talking about a massive problem across billions of people across many geographies, and I think what you bring up is probably true. But at the same time, I don't think the solution to it is just either you're vegan or you're not. And what I mean to say is this about suffering, is that when you take care of people with strokes, heart attacks, domestic abuse, bear attacks, they're also violent predators that eat all sorts of things in addition to us. You start to understand that there's two types of suffering. And I think that's the most important part. Two types of suffering. There's senseless suffering and there's meaningful suffering. And I think what you have to understand is that when you can create meaning behind suffering,
there's gratuitous
you can
suffering. That's the main thing. There's a necessary suffering. And that's the vegan claim. I take veganism to be the practical, ethical rule to avoid products and practices that cause unnecessary suffering. So would you agree that if you can do something with...
But also, I don't think it's an individual problem. I think it's a societal issue that, yes, we have factory farming to get this meat distributed to all of these citizens, but it's not on the individual, I think, to choose their diet and to boycott, especially in certain areas where you don't necessarily have as much access to the variety of diets that certain vegans do in a city like LA. It's easier to be vegan in LA because there's so many different restaurants. There's so many different markets that cater to that diet. You can eat a variety and cook in a variety of ways to make it a little bit more palatable. And, there's supplement stores to get, B vitamins that you wouldn't otherwise get, that you wouldn't otherwise need to get from eating a traditional, diet with regular meat and vegetables and all that. So in certain places, it's much easier to have these certain diets. And I think that it's more so on the factory farms and like the corporations that are doing these unethical practices to change how they function in order for them to be more ethical, rather than the consumer having to worry about like every single practice and every single sourcing of where their food comes from. It's just not practical for most people who are just working constantly and just don't have time to really think about these things.
Without the suffering, you ought to do it without the suffering, yes or no?
Are you against
No,
domestication
if you
of
answer that,
livestock?
then I'm happy to respond. If you think you can do something without suffering, ought you do that?
I don't think avoiding suffering is the highest good.
What is the highest good? I've just told you that every major world
highest good is
philosophy.
meaning.
I've just told you every single major world religion
The
and
only
every
commonality
secular
with major
philosophy
religions is that they're all
thinks
human
that
beings.
extreme suffering
They're all human beings that
does
deal
not
with
justify
inevitability.
trivial pleasure. Can you name one world philosophy that thinks that extreme suffering can justify trivial pleasure?
I don't need to name a philosophy. I think what it is that in the ER,
So it's just what you- it's just how you feel. It's just how you
reality, when I'm taking care of people recently diagnosed with cancer, or they have a child that died,
Well, you can
etc.
have significant-
Wait, so he's saying it's just how you feel. Not that I think this guy's doing a good job at arguing for a non-vegan diet, but the vegan just said like, so it's just how you feel. That's literally everything. Like I really think that like even morality is just how you feel. Like even though people think of it as some sort of like objective thing outside of your personal emotions, whether or not you can consciously make a decision against to like your immediate emotion, I still think the decision is based on how you feel. Like you feel that minimal suffering is going to be like the best outcome for everybody. That's a feeling that you have, and that's a feeling that's important to you. You can't separate the feeling from the morality in any sense, no matter how deep you go with it.
Look, there are two big studies on overall general health outcomes. The EPIC survey at the University of Oxford looked at 500,000 people over the last 30 years, and the Christian Adventist study in the United States of America that looked at 75,000 people. In both these studies, it's found that you're likely to live significantly longer, less risk of heart disease, less risk of cancer, less risk of diabetes, less risk of obesity if you're vegan rather than eating meat. This is the most obese country on the face of the planet in terms of the global, in terms of being a major country.
I would agree.
75% of people in this country are overweight and obese.
I know
company
it
excluded.
very clearly. I'm responsible for their health as well.
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please go.
Yeah, I mean the health aspect of it, I do agree that eating a ton of meat is definitely not good for you. But I don't think everything in life is about being as healthy as you possibly can be. Now, that's not to say that we don't have a really big problem, specifically in America and a lot of different countries, not just America, to be honest, where people typically are pretty obese and unhealthy in the way they eat. But that's not because they're eating meat. That's more so because they are, oh, fuck, my stream got suspended on YouTube. Anyways, let's see.